Okay, welcome everybody. Episode number 40. Oh, what is this? 45 or 46? This is episode number 45, Sports Cards Live. Welcome everybody to the show. Before we get started and bring out our guest tonight, Chris Carlin from Upper Deck, I do want to thank the guest we had last Saturday, Bobby Burrell from Vintage Hockey Collector. What a great resource. What a great fountain of knowledge he is on the history of the hobby. Check out that episode. It lives on the YouTube channel on Sports Cards Live. You can see all the historical episodes there as well. Also on the After Hours episode that I had right after that, we had with me Brian Palmer, a nice hobby discussion. It was pretty nice and relaxing, so check that out as well. We covered a multitude of topics. I also want to thank this past Wednesday's guest, who was Stephen LaRoche. And Stephen, unfortunately, had some technical difficulties, so we're going to reschedule. But we did get through about 45 minutes with Stephen. And then I want to thank Carlos and Bobby Burrell again. Carlos from the Because I'm Carlos YouTube channel, as they both sort of came in and saved the day and joined me on screen. And we were able to salvage the episode and still produce what I thought was some decent content. So thanks to those guys very much. This coming Wednesday, Dustin, the personal finance dad, will be joining me. And this will be a great episode. Dustin has a YouTube channel by the name The Personal Finance Dad, where he covers mostly sports cards, a little bit of other collectibles. So check out his channel and check that episode out on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. I also want to mention, everybody, the YouTube show, the YouTube channel Hobby Hotline. I want to give these guys a shout out today: Drew, Mike, Eric, and John Newman, and Uncle Rich Klein as well. I actually called into their show this morning and I got on for a few minutes and had a nice chat. Got to meet these guys, and that was a lot of fun. So I want to give them a shout out, and we'll be doing some collaborations that came out of that as well. So that's pretty cool. And tonight, after this episode is finished, Carlos will be joining me yet again for the After Hours show, and we will just be sitting back and talking hobby, debriefing this episode a little bit. So be sure to check that out. As always, your comments and questions are in play, so feel free to post your comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. And myself, Chris, and our mystery guest coming on in a little while will attempt to address all of those comments and questions that you may have. If you're new to the show, thank you very much for joining. Thank you to Chris Carlin and Upper Deck for bringing more viewers to the channel tonight. Appreciate that very much. Do feel free to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. I'd greatly appreciate that. Hit that thumbs up button. Leave a comment if you'd like. Those things all seem to help the YouTube algorithm, and I don't really know what that means, but hey, people say it helps, so I greatly appreciated that. The Sports Cards Live channel, we just hit about 1,080 subscribers, so thanks to everyone who's subscribed already, all the regular viewers. Really appreciate everybody. So without further ado, let's bring out tonight's guest from Upper Deck, Chris Carlin. Chris, welcome back. Welcome back to Sports Cards Live. Great to have you again. How are you doing
tonight?
Great
to be back, my friend. It's in this weird age that we're in, it's just, I miss seeing people like you, because we always see each other at shows and things like that. So I'm so happy that for the success you've had with this show. And I love watching, and I actually listen a lot more because I'll put it on while I'm doing things, but I always will toggle over. I'm like, oh my God, that's a great point that this person made or that person made. So your guests have all been fantastic, and it's been a lot of fun to see this program go.
Hey man, thank you. It means a lot coming from you. I do appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun. The guests have all been amazing so far.
Yeah.
You were previously on early. I forget which episode number it was, but you came on with me in, I believe it was May, early June, with Steve Menzie, who runs the Sports Card Expo out of Toronto. Yeah. And we had a sort of a discussion about what was going on during it was early stages of COVID still, and what was Upper Deck doing? What were the card shows doing to deal with this, to be able to sort of move forward and I want to say business as usual, even though it wasn't, but we had a great discussion. So thanks for being an early guest. And, here we are probably 40 or so episodes later, show's still going strong. And here you are back again. So it's great to have you back. It's sort of feels like a milestone to me to have you back again this time. So pretty cool, man. Thanks for coming on. And the reason why I invited you back this time, and we had this discussion probably close to a month ago when we arranged this. And I was thinking, I love this hobby as much as anybody else does. I think that's pretty apparent. And the hobby, there are some negative threads throughout the hobby. There always are. There always will be. And what I've noticed from following you on Twitter and the Upper Deck blog is that you guys at Upper Deck, you're always trying to do good. You're trying to help people. You're recognizing certain people. You're putting out commemorative cards. You're doing all sorts of various things that are just feel good things. And I guess I was just feeling like having a feel good episode and talking about some of these things that you guys are doing, because I greatly respect it and I think it's wonderful. And a lot of times Upper Deck can be some come under attack for certain things, whatever they may be. And I just wanted to show there are really good things going on at Upper Deck, and it's important for everybody to see those and to be aware of them. So I thought, what a great opportunity to come out and let's have one of these sort of positive type of discussions. So glad you were able to make it on. And you've sent me some presentation or a presentation that we're going to share with the viewers, which will be really interesting. And so I'm excited for that. Our mystery guest is going to come on in about an hour's time. There's a new initiative that you are launching in sort of and I don't even know about it. So
I know it's going to be great.
Yeah, but there's sort of
a little background. I told Jeremy, I want to bring someone on, and hope that's okay. And I don't want to tell you who it is. And so finally today I told Jeremy, and I think you have a little bit of an idea of what's happening, but I thought it would be fun to surprise you a bit as well. So this is going to be fun tonight.
That's great. And I'm excited to bring him on. I'll a semi spoiler. I'm excited to bring him on again, but I'm excited for the initiative that you're working on. You're collaborating with him, and that's pretty cool. You sent me a 2-pager. We're going to bring that up. I haven't even looked at it, but it's loaded up and ready to go. So when he comes out, we will bring that on. But before we get to that, we're going to go through your the presentation that you brought or you sent me.
So just a little background before we start is I shared this at Upper Deck's annual Certified Diamond Dealer Conference back in January. And that's just for shops, really, shops and distributors. And I really thought, gosh, I wish I could share this with collectors. And when we initially talked about me coming back on, I thought, man, this is perfect to go through with your audience. And so we re-racked this a bit, but I hope everyone enjoys what we're about to go through and kind of share, and it should be really fun.
For sure. I'm actually just looking. You were on episode number 6 with Steve Menzie back on May the 2nd. So that's a while ago. June, July, August, September. We're 4.5 months later, and
I'm so Sports Card Live OG, I guess.
Yeah. You helped launch this thing, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we do bring up the presentation onto the screen, I'm just going to welcome the viewers that we have with us right now. We always have great viewership, so I want to thank everybody for joining. Card Currency, Paul, hey. Yeah, we're going to have a long night. We're going to have this episode tonight with Chris and the guest that's going to come out soon, and then afterwards, Carlos will join me for After Hours. Legion, welcome as always. Matt, welcome to the show. I'm betting you can do 3 hours talking about Upper Deck products. I probably could. I have enough products in my own collection that I could probably do that quite easily. Sam, good evening, my friend. Thank you for the heads up today on those cards. Unfortunately, I don't need those ones, but hey, keep me in mind. Dave Jones, welcome to the show. Richard, welcome to the show. Carlos says, never heard of the guy. Sure you have, Carlos. Sure you have. And Carlos will be joining me on After Hours, and check out his YouTube channel by the same name, Because I'm Carlos. And I will give another shout out actually, because tomorrow night, Carlos on his channel is bringing on my good friend Amit Acharya for one of Carlos's live shows. So be sure to check that out tomorrow night. Jeff McMahon, welcome to the show. Looking forward to having you. Dr. Exclusive, welcome to the show. Bill, welcome. Brett Miles, haven't seen you for a while, my friend. Welcome back. Facebook user, good evening. I'll listen in full either tomorrow, AM or PM. Happy to hear that. Cruz Barker, welcome to the show. What about the rookie cards for the first Native American players? Interesting comment. We'll get to that perhaps. Josh Packham, can't wait to hear who the special guest is. You will see soon. Naim, welcome to the show. We'll see you a little bit later, perhaps. Rob Post, hey chat, welcome. Joe Perrott, welcome to the show as 4 hours easy. We've never gone quite 4 hours. We've come close though between the two episodes. Here's a question. Will Lafreniere be in Series 1 despite not playing a game in the NHL exemption? Yeah, I know the answer to that. Chris, you want to take that quickly?
well, it's interesting. I can't say it publicly per se, but I will say that Alexi Lafreniere is a spokesman for Upper Deck. We've been talking with the NHLPA for a special exemption, and I think everyone will be very happy when they see likely card 201. But we'll just go. That's all I can share right now. But
Likely.
It's probably going to be a fun Series 1. I would take the day off of work right now. If you don't need to start sniffling the week of, just put in that paid time off request and have fun breaking Upper Deck Series 1, because I can almost guarantee not just that certain someone, but there's going to be a lot of fun bells and whistles. The team has done an incredible job, and I know everyone loves the Easter eggs and things like that. I'm looking at this year's Series 1 and I'm just like, wow, I might need to open a case with my kids too. Like it's that good. So the checklists and things like that will be disseminated like they normally are. But just get it and thank me later, I would say.
There you go, guys. Chris, those were the least blurry lines I've ever had to read between ever in my life. So I think we can all count on card number 201 being Alexis Lafreniere one way or another. I'll say it more direct. I don't work for Upper Deck. I'll say it more directly, even though
there you go.
I don't know for sure, but I think we're pretty good on that. Okay, guys, and that'll be a really exciting product, no doubt. Yamwax, welcome as always. Rob Post, UD listens to their customers. They do. Terry Fortune, welcome to the show. Al, welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Liquid Gibo too. Hello. Oh boy, lots of people in there. I usually go through everybody and just say hi to everybody, Chris, and I don't want to stop doing that. So let's keep going. Good evening to Jay.
No, that's great.
Welcome to you,
Jay. Love that guy.
Jay's got an amazing mega patch collection from the Premier collection. Paul Wagner, welcome to the show. Glad you could stay up as well. Mike Kohler, there he is. Welcome to the show. So we know it's a guy that both Jeremy and Chris know. Yeah, I wish it was Wayne Gretzky. No offense to who it is, but I mean, I think everyone can understand that. Chris, maybe we can work something on Gretzky in the future. Yeah,
we'll do that. Episode 70. Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Maybe episode 99. How about episode 99?
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Okay, Chris West, welcome. Rob says, I bet I can assist in product knowledge. Awesome. Paul Cashman, good evening. Not sure how long we're going to last. Got to be up at 4. Well, I know you'll be here as long as you can be. Hello, good evening. Thanks for doing this. Not sure who you are, but thank you for joining. Who gave this a thumbs down? Yeah, I'd like to know that too. Why would you give us a thumbs down already? But hey, several thumbs up will definitely counteract that. So appreciate it.
Maybe I've got a nice girlfriend out there. I don't know.
Yeah. Appreciate all the thumbs up, everybody. Who else we have? We have Rob says, let's talk Series 1 Young Guns. We just did. Rome Rant, welcome to the show. Norman Marr, welcome to the show.
Hey, Norman.
Liquid Gibo 2 says, shout out, please. There you had it. What's
Liquid
Splendor and when is Splendor and Cup coming? Yep. They like to keep those things secret until the last minute, but we can count on Cup coming out for sure. Series 1 release is always a holiday for sure. B. Kobler says, hello to Chris Carlin. Sup, Ben? Neil Ely, howdy to you. Michelle Barker, hello to Colorado. All right. Ernie Rondo, good evening to you. And Kobler, again, ex-girlfriend for sure. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining. I can see we have lots of viewers tonight. That's always awesome. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel for Sports Cards Live, please do. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thumbs up, leave comments, all those wonderful things. All right, and Absolute is back in the house. Hey, all, Mike, happy Saturday. You're not too late. Welcome as always, and you'll be proud. I just said thumbs up and comments and all those things that you usually do for me, so thanks again. All right, Chris. So when we were chatting before the episode, you mentioned a couple things to me. You mentioned, there's the Upper Deck random acts of kindness, which I've seen before. I've been recipient before. I see people posting them on Twitter, on message boards, on Facebook saying, hey, look what I got. Pretty awesome stuff. You also mentioned the Wall of Praise, which is something pretty neat as well. I just mentioned these because there are initiatives that you've been working on for a long time. They're positive. They're all about goodwill, and they spread positivity within the hobby, and that's what I'm all about. So, are you ready to dive into the presentation? Should I share my screen and you can take us through some of the stuff you guys are up to? All right, so let's do that. So here we go, Chris. I'm going to let you take the lead. You let me know when you want me to switch to the next slide, and I'll do that, and I'll let you speak to everything here.
Well, fun fact about yours truly here. I don't know if a lot of collectors know this, but after I graduated college, I found out, Upper Deck was right in the city that I happened to be living. And I was like, holy crap, Upper Deck. And so who cares about what my major was? I'm like, I got to get a job there. Right. So I go to get a job, and they've got this photo editor job. So I'm like, I know sports, no problem. And so we had a guy there named Brian and Maycomer, and he was amazing. But he would give you this test, as an interview. And I considered myself a serious sports guy, but this test, like, I think I got like a 13%. Like, it was so dang hard. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm not going to be a photo editor for Upper Deck. So I took like the worst job at Upper Deck, like not just above custodian. It was like my first thing was there were some cards that the athlete used the wrong pen on. So they smeared on the back, and it was me and two other guys cleaning the backs of them off very carefully, making sure we don't get inside, or else the card's ruined. And I kind of worked my way up from there. But in school, I was kind of like the class clown. So I enjoyed making people laugh and entertaining people. And so when I was getting my start at Upper Deck, I would spend my weekends driving up to LA, and I would do stand-up comedy on the weekend. So I performed at the Laugh Factory and Comedy Store show in here. And it was great. And it just got to be, where I had to decide, all right, do I want to do Upper Deck, or do I want to try to be a comedian? And my passion was totally with Upper Deck. And Upper Deck saw what I was doing, during the week, and how much I loved it. And it was great. So I moved on from that role to customer service, to sales, to managing customer service and sales. And then when we had an opportunity to open up a new distribution center in Las Vegas, I was asked to help out there. So I helped get that set up and staffed up. And it was a challenge. We lost some great people. We gained some great people. But it was a lot of fun. So I guess I was about in my early 30s moving out to Las Vegas. So I didn't do comedy. So I figured I'd try something different. If you want to go to the next one.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Magic. No, I wasn't a magician. But if you go to the next one, I definitely did. I believe in working hard during the week and then having fun on the weekend. So
I'll
next slide is just a little
one.
bit about some of the fun that I had.
I just want to say, whenever I see this hotel, the Rio, it just makes me think of the World Series of Poker. So thanks for that. All right, next slide. Here we go for you.
So there's a couple of fun things here that, you would have random run-ins with Mike Tyson in Las Vegas, which was great. And I used to love the Hard Rock, which shut down. The Mandalay Bay has the House of Blues, and they used to do this thing called Rockstar Karaoke. So you could get on stage with a band, which was so much fun. And that one right there with me dangling off the edge of the stratosphere, that was that I was there with my girlfriend at the time. And it's this arm that takes you off the top, goes off the side, makes you go look pretty much down, and starts spinning you around. Pretty much the worst thing ever. So the girl I was with at the time was like, she got to the front of the line and they're strapping me in, and she's like, oh, hell no. And I can't really blame her because I went on it. It was terrible. But yeah, so that was one of those, oh, wow, this is a different scene out here. So I enjoyed Vegas, but it was a lot of heat, in the summertime. And I missed my family back home. All my brothers live out here in California, and all my family's out here. So when an opportunity came up to go back to California at Upper Deck to become the hobby marketing manager, they were looking for someone who knew the customers well. And I had worked for basically 10 years with collectors and hobby shops and our distributors. So it was kind of a no-brainer. So I moved back and did that. So we can go to the next one. And when I moved back, it was one of those things where I had done the customer care management for a long time and done a bit of sales. and I really wanted to figure out this whole marketing thing, and I really wanted to just kick butt, because marketing is not my major, but I'd been in the industry long enough, and quite frankly, I think a lot of times marketing in this industry isn't as good as it could be. So I wanted to try to see what I could do, and I wanted to learn. And I didn't really want to go back to school. So what I did was I started going to a lot of conferences. So if we go to the next slide, I really just loved the idea of going to conferences where there were other big brands, where there's Pepsi and there's Zappos and there's 3M and there's Coca-Cola and there's Tesla, all these big brands. And people think of Upper Deck as a big brand, but grand scheme, like Progressive has $1 billion advertising budget. We don't have that. So I wanted to learn from these big brands and these marketing executives and basically these big brains. I wanted to try to suck it dry a little bit and try to learn from what they were doing and bring it to our industry, because I didn't think that it was happening at that level yet. And so I did, and I really studied that. I read a lot of books from people I met who were speakers, and followed up with them, and just would use them almost as mentors. And it got to the point where some of the things that I put into place from learnings from them allowed me to actually speak at some of these conferences, which was really cool. But the biggest takeaway I got in all these learnings was just one central theme. And if you go to the next slide, it's that it is just imperative that if you want to make a difference as a brand, you have got to touch your customer's heart. And it's easy to say that, but it has to be authentic. It has to be genuine, because customers can tell. They're not idiots. So especially in this day and age where you can Google anything, you could find anything you want on Twitter or what have you. So there's a quote that I love at the bottom there, which is, if you can, I believe it's, if you can earn I can't see it that well on that one, so I'm opening this one. Sorry. If you can earn a place in your customer's heart, they'll gladly give you a larger share of their wallet. And I thought about that for myself. Like, am I that type of consumer? And absolutely I am. I'm passionate. I only fly American Airlines because I've had so many great experiences. And I'm sure there's people who have not had great experiences, but I personally have. And there's, I love Ruth Chris because I wrote a letter to Ruth Fertel when I had my first filet mignon at her restaurant. And I was like, where has this been all my life? So she wrote me back, and I just had a lot of great experiences with that. And what there are out there are passion brands. Southwest Airlines is another one in the airline industry where they're just a little different. They're thoughtful, they're kind, they listen. But not only do they listen, they incorporate that feedback that they get from consumers. And I knew Upper Deck. I always loved Upper Deck since I was a little kid. And I wanted Upper Deck to be a passion brand. And I think at the time we absolutely were, but I knew we could be better. And I saw what other companies were doing in other industries. And I just wanted to start doing things that would kind of get us to that next level. And it was tricky because I was working in marketing. So I started putting these marketing things into effect with my boss, Jody Wasserman, and a great team that we have at Upper Deck as well. And we'll talk about some of those later. But then we got to a point, I guess it was about 2.5 years ago, where our president, Jason Mashura, said to me, I don't think our customer care is quite as good as it could be. And we had a series of, just kind of hiccups and issues. And he asked me if I would take that back on as well, because I'd done it previously, and I was very passionate about it. And I wanted to try some new things. I wanted to do some things that would ease restrictions for customers and allow our reps to have a lot more power to help people the first time. So you don't always ask, can I speak to a supervisor, and just, make it kind of crystal clear what we can and can't do no matter who you talk to at the company. So we were able to do a lot of things. And if you go to the next slide, it's been pretty amazing to see what's happened over the last couple of years in particular, where the overwhelming sentiment with consumers, and I know we can't make a fan out of everyone. I'll try my damnedest, but the overwhelming sentiment over the last couple of years is that, you know, Upper Deck listens, Upper Deck cares, and it's tricky. It's hard when you're a big brand on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook to respond to everyone, or to like every tweet, or to retweet, or things along those lines. It's even trickier to dive deeper down and try to understand who these customers are, what they like, what their passions are, share that back with the brand, build products for them, build marketing programs for them. And it's just something that I felt and our company felt is something that we've just got to do. And so we made a few changes in staffing. We've got a really good team in our customer care group right now. I couldn't be more proud of the team that we have, and their passion to help and learn. And it's just nice when you talk to someone on the phone, you know, when they know it's Patrick Waugh and not Patrick Roy. You know, it's just, I think we've all had those experiences. So we've had a bit of a metamorphosis, and I take a great amount of pride in the fact that, if you go to the next slide, that Upper Deck is the only trading card manufacturer with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. I mean, I know it's a little thing, but it's big to me. It's important to me that if someone has a complaint, that they get an answer, you know. And I think it's a bit of a travesty that hasn't always happened with Upper Deck, and it certainly doesn't happen with every manufacturer, and certainly doesn't happen with a lot of industries. It's a lot of work, and I think it's something that is just really important. And what I try to instill with my staff, if you go to the next slide, is that you know, you want to just do that little bit extra. I often talk about service that is remarkable, that makes people actually remark about how good it is. And I think it's really important that my staff gets the understanding that, you know, the little extra effort, or if I research this a little longer, if I ask a few more people around the building, get the customer the right answer the first time, it makes a big difference. And then to try to instill that into every employee at Upper Deck has been really kind of cool too, because I think that, you know, everyone owns the customer experience, and it takes a while to kind of change a culture, but under the leadership of our president, Jason Mosher, our owner, Vivian McWilliam, we've been able to kind of change the paradigm about Upper Deck, which is pretty amazing. Next slide, I want to talk a little bit about a story. We got this dog as a rescue about 2 years ago. My wife's like, "We need a dog." I'm like, "We do not need a dog." And we got this dog, a Wheaton Terrier, and I didn't want to have anything to do with the dog in the beginning, but started taking him on walks and what have you. But of course, rescues, they're not always easy. So this dog pees everywhere. Like, you cannot, he's a nervous peer, you know? So you think you're making strides with him. You're like, "Hey, come on in bed." He comes in bed and just pees all over your bed. You're like, "Oh, Jesus, what's going on?" Jeremy, we took out all the carpeting downstairs and had to put in hardwood floors to just because it was so bad. And we worked with trainers, what have you. And finally, I was taking him on a walk at my father-in-law's house in downtown San Diego, Coronado. And I passed by a guy and he goes, "Hey, is that a Wheaton?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "We love Wheatons. We had one, and we think they're great." And I'm like, "Huh." He had just peed in my father-in-law's entire living room area, which is carpeted. My wife wanted to she was just done. And I said to him, "You wouldn't happen to be in the market for a Wheaton, would you?" And he goes, "Oh my gosh, we love Wheatons, what have you." So I started talking to his wife, and long story short, we found him a good home. And what he really needed was just quiet. My boys running around and friends coming over, and an active home. It just wasn't the best environment for him. So we had him on all these different meds to control his, you know, basically on Prozac to chill him out, you know, which was prescribed. And we went through this company, Chewy, and my wife is very busy. You know, she has a full-time job, and we have the kids at home with COVID, and she's trying to tell Chewy that, "Hey, we need to cancel the prescription." And they're like, yeah, what went on? And she's like, I'm sorry, the dog's gone. We just, we're done. Please cancel it. I've got to go. I've got an important call. So 2 days later, we get a bouquet of flowers from Chewy saying, we're so sorry for your loss. And my wife's like, oh my God, no, he's not dead.
Not that kind of loss.
Yes, but the moral of the story is, how awesome is that Chewy would empower their reps to, they're losing business. They've lost our business for right now, but they're proving themselves as a passion brand. Because if I get another dog, probably not a rescue, for sure that I'm going back to Chewy because they were so thoughtful and kind, and they had earned a place in my heart, in our heart. So, I wanted, when I moved back from Vegas, to start doing these stories. And when we did, I just started to immerse myself with, I was already immersed in the collector, the message boards and things like that. I watch a lot more than I post. And I found out about a collector named Tyler Chatfield who had passed away, and it just really resonated with folks. And there's just, people were really bummed. And so I said, let's make a card for this guy. And I reached out to his widow after, a few days, and she was like, wow, this would be really cool. So we created a trading card for him, and that set the stage for other things that we would do. And if you go to the next slide, back to the dogs, I found out about this kid who lost his dog and said, you know what, I'm not he wasn't very popular, and he didn't get along with people, and his dog was that one thing that would help him get through. And I thought, there is a power in trading cards. We don't give it enough credit for what ink and paper can do, and the power of that upper deck diamond on a trading card. And so we reached out to his family, and we surprised him with, much like Chewy did. This is before I knew about Chewy, but we surprised him with a trading card of his dog that he lost, his best friend. And to be able to do that, and to start doing that type of feel good cause marketing, it wasn't something that we wanted to do, that, hey, we got to do this. This is going to go viral. It's going to be amazing. It was something that I learned, and I just feel very passionate about. It's just do the right thing and let the brand go along for the ride. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that we've been doing, that maybe collectors don't know about, and just create awareness about some of the other things that we could do, because as I'll get to, it's not all great stuff out there. So
Chris, before you do, before you jump into that, and hold your thought there, I don't want you to forget where you were, but I just want to mention, with respect to Tyler Chatfield, I remember that vividly. I have. Oh,
you do?
I do. I do. I have two of the cards there behind me in a binder right now. Cool. And had I known you'd bring it up, awesome, I would have pulled one out to show it on the screen, had I known that we were gonna speak about that. But that was a touching gesture that you did back then. It was very, very emotional for anyone in the hobby that was familiar with Tyler. It even inspired, I'm involved with Hobby Insider, as you well know, the message boards, and it inspired a section basically called remembering collectors, or I forget the exact name of that forum within the forum. And there's a few others that we've lost, and they've been sort of memorialized in there. And it was the Tyler Chatfield card that you did that really inspired that. And that's already going back close to, that's probably 7 or 8 years ago now. That I remember that we created. Actually, he died, I think, prior to that, but we created the special forum and then added him in posthumously thereafter. But I just want to throw a couple comments on the board that came up before they get to they fall too far back. Rob says Upper Deck is accessible and responds on social media. I'll leave it at that. Matt says sounds like Gary Vee saying you need to find a connection with your customers. And I think that, I work in in a customer-driven industry as well, and we're marketing ourselves the same way. We call it you mentioned passion brand. We use the term cult brand, and there's a big conference that goes on in Banff, Alberta every year, where the cult brands come in from all over the world, And we've taken part in that in the last few years. And so I hear what you're saying, and I think I agree. I think it's very important. As I put up before, Joe says, never underestimate the power of kindness. I mean, it's nice because you can be kind and it can reap rewards as well. But it's authentic. When it's authentic, it's especially powerful. And I feel that from the initiatives that I see you guys doing, and you in particular. Terry says, I bought a large lot of common cards from Tyler just before he passed away. I drove and met him in Saskatoon. It's nice, there's a direct memory of this fellow collector, and we all feel like we're all collectors in this hobby, and it's nice to know that.
It's funny. Before you go to the next comment, I love some of the weird things that Upper Deck has made over the years. Like what I loved about Richard McWilliam was he would dare us just to try things and push the envelope and come up with a lot of the things were kind of wacky or ahead of their time or just whoa, I don't get this. But so I love, like, one of my pet projects that I don't have like a PC per se, but I love getting these old Upper Deck items, that are just kind of quirky, like the Michael Jordan basketball phone, or one of my favorites is the Illuminator. It's this they made them for football, hockey, basketball, baseball, but it's a light that has cards in it. So one of the cards that I have in my Illuminator in my office is Tyler. So it's nice that a trading card can bring you back to someone you care about. And it's funny because he may be gone, but with this small thing that we did, he's not forgotten in our community.
For sure, for certain he isn't. It's really wonderful. You're talking about the neat things Upper Deck's made, and I've got this jacket hanging right here, and I picked that up locally. I've talked about it before, but I picked that up locally. But you have that jacket and you still wear it. I see you wearing it at various card shows.
Oh yeah,
very neat, very neat.
I think it's crazy. Like and it's funny because I've had that jacket twice. I got it as a gift in my 20s. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This is the stupidest thing. Can they make a bigger logo on the back of this?
No.
And so I gave it away. I think I gave it to a thrift store because I was like, this isn't cool. I'm not going to wear this. And now I'm like, that was cool. So I had to buy one on eBay. And I was like, this is so retro, vintage. What Upper Deck was all about is just look at this thing,
Yeah.
So who has a Letterman jacket like that? So I think the world of some of the things that we've done over the years.
Yeah, I love the jacket. I bought it locally from a guy who was a distributor for sports cards in Alberta, like in the early mid 90s, and he put these up on Kijiji, and I picked up that one, and he had another one from Pinnacle Brand, so I grabbed them because I'm a guy that likes the history of the hobby, not just cards,
totally.
but things that are related to it. So that jacket to me is a big winner for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to put up here, Mike Absolute Authentic says, I may need to learn about hockey so I can buy Upper Deck cards. Great work. I think that's awesome. Naim says, very sad when Tyler passed away. He's a great member of the Hobby Insider boards, which is very true. Chris West wants to know if you have the Santa Claus jersey card. I'm not familiar with that. Do you know what that is?
Yeah. It's one of our holiday cards. I just retweeted one on the Upper Deck Twitter today. So they're out there. It's a cool one.
Cool. Scott wants to say late to the show. We want to thank Chris for the random acts of kindness from the first time he was on the show. Was blown away with the boxes, and the best part was the handwritten note, proudly displayed here now. Very cool. Very cool. BM, I think that's Brom, says, some would say Upper Deck is still wacky with Goodwin. What other brand could you say, hey, I pulled a short print gorilla? P.S. Jeremy, I got the prize. Thanks, man. So Chris, you had sent me a box of Goodwin, and we did when Tony was on with me, we opened it and gave away the prizes. And BM here, Brom, he won that, so he's saying thank you very much. So awesome. Okay, man. Well, hey, I kind of jumped in there. We were talking.
We got to do that from time to time because I love how interactive this is. So absolutely.
Thank you. So I'll bring back on the presentation, and we can go on to the next slide if you're ready for it.
Yeah. So I think one of the problems is you can do these Goodwill things, but with anything, I mean, if you look at the news today, what sells? What do they talk about? It's not good news. It's bad news, and no industry has been hit harder by the effects of bad news. You go to the next slide. I just show a couple things that are relative. These are just relatively recent, whether it be counterfeiters or trimming scandals or it's very prevalent, and the media loves to pick up on these stories, rather than us making a card for a kid who lost his best friend, a dog. And I'm not saying they should have. It's just I believe that there is so much good to tell, rather than just these few negative instances. But negative stories are not new to our industry by a stretch at all. So if you go to the next slide, there used to be a publication called Trade Facts that all the trading card companies would get, and it was just a 2-page fax that would go out twice a week. And for us, if we weren't in there at least once, mentioned once, like, PR was like, oh God, we got to figure this out, So it was always like, how do we get in Trade Facts? What's our hook going to be this week? But you can see there were stories, way back then about negatives and just people that were taking advantage of others, and it still happens today, But I got to tell you, Jeremy, I've now worked in this industry for 22 years, and quite frankly, I will be damned if I'm going to be lumped into being in the same industry as cheats and thieves and counterfeiters. That's not who I am. I mean, that's not who my company is, and who a lot of our collectors are. It's how do we represent ourselves in the best way possible, and our industry in the best way possible, when we know there are going to be so many negative stories. So you can bet your butt that Upper Deck's going to continue to press the envelope and try to make the best products possible. And if we have redemptions, get them out as quick as possible. If there's an issue, we're going to try to help you with that. But a lot of my free time I spend on how do we engage others, or how do we help someone. And I want to just go through a bit of that. So our president shared this quote, and I wanted to just share it with everyone, that we're in a position of privilege working in sports. So let's start telling some good stories and working to improve lives. We can control the narrative of what our industry can be and what it will be. And I believe that very, very strongly, that it's up to us, the manufacturer, to do a great job with our product. I mean, if we make a great product, there's no big issues, but there's a sense of responsibility. I believe I carry this sense of responsibility that we need to do more, we can do more, and we should do more, to portray this industry in the best way possible. And I just want to run through just some fun things that we've done that people might not be aware of. So, you look at the All-Star, most All-Star activations used to be, all right, we're going to do a promo pack, and we're going to have wrapper redemptions, and people can come by and get their photo op, what have you. But I wanted to try to start doing some things where we're improving lives. So the All-Star game in San Jose, we had 2 Make-A-Wish kids who we had created Young Guns cards for. We had them do an autograph signing. We had military heroes with through the NHLPA, who they brought in, and we gave them their own Genuine Heroes card. We had a kid reporter that I took around, and he just had the time of his life, meeting all the different athletes, what have you. And then if you look at this year's All-Star, the next slide, it was a lot more of the same. I reached out to Leila Anderson, and we brought her in and gave her a Heroic Inspirations card on top of everything else that we were doing. We brought the veterans back, and it was pretty powerful this time with the veterans, because they one of the families there, the hero that they were representing was killed in action. And so it was just the wife and their son. And it was really, really powerful to be able to pull the curtain back on their card and give the wife a big hug and just let them know how much we appreciate that sacrifice. And again, you create a trading card, and you'd be amazed at the power that it can have for people who, it relates to. On to the next one. One of my favorite ones, we talked a little bit about the Upper Deck Random Acts of Kindness, but I really challenge our team to try to get as creative as possible on Valentine's Day. I think that's our opportunity to really show love to our fan base. And again, Upper Deck Random Acts of Kindness, what it really is just trying to find good stewards for the hobby out there, people doing good and just saying, hey, we see you, we try to make those little care packages, catered to what they like. And it takes a little time to do this. I know there's some people who've kind of made fun that Upper Deck does this to try to brainwash people. But if you read the letter that we send with it, if you see what is sent, if you see what that person did, and the fact that we took the time to find out what was happening and recognize that in some way and find their address without them knowing, I think it's pretty darn amazing. One of my favorites this year, in the next slide, is a reporter who happens to be a collector named Brad Galley. And he's a huge Red Wings guy. Do you know him, Jeremy?
I don't know him, but I just want to jump in and say one thing quick is that when sometimes you've come to me for addresses of collectors, and so sometimes people will get a message from me saying, hey, I need your address, and I don't tell them what or why.
Yeah.
And they kind of, I guess I'm trusted enough that they send it to me, and I just hope that they get it eventually. But
my whole thinking behind Upper Deck Random Acts of Kindness, we started for our 25th anniversary. We're well past that because we just kept it going. It's been so popular. Is that I saw that people were so excited about a mail day. I bought this on eBay and I finally got it, or a redemption card and I finally got it. But what would happen if a collector got something that they didn't expect from a company that's supposed to be so big, and it's something that they like, and that the time that they took to find that, and we see that reaction. Like, it's so fun when you see someone say like, holy garbanzo beans, that liquid just arrived at my door, because we put a little label on the outside, and then there's all the fun of, oh, what'd you get? Let's open it, and it creates that excitement. I mean, this hobby is supposed to be fun as well, right? So doing this not only recognizes those customers, but it also creates a lot of excitement. Brad's was really fun because he had sent me this picture of him with the Red Wings a while ago and thought I forgot about it. But I made him a young gun. I wanted to call it an old gun, but I made him a young gun card, and we made it as a poster. And he opened it in front of his son, and he said this on the air. He goes, his son saw the poster and goes, "That's you, Daddy?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then his son went to grab his hockey sticks and started playing. And Brad goes, "What are you doing, honey?" And he goes, "I want to be like you, Daddy." And so Brad just starts crying, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever." So again, it kind of shows you the power of kindness and just recognizing your customers, whoever they may be. And then if you go to the next one, there's just so many of these fun stories. If you ever are bored and are on Twitter, just type in the hashtag UDRAK. And it's so fun to see, again, people's reactions to these, and how it's kind of changed the sentiment, where Twitter, YouTube, Facebook comments can be overwhelmingly negative a lot of the time. And so to try to interject a little fun and a little bit of appreciation for your customers, I think is really important. So on to that next one with regard to Upper Deck Random Acts of Kindness, and the collector talked about it. For me, you look at the swag that we sent out. The most important thing here is the handwritten note, and the fact that we work with our reps, and I write probably 2 or 3 of these a week myself. My handwriting is getting so much better. Is that you just take a little time and not send a dang form letter. You just pour your heart out a little bit and thank the customer for all their support, because last time I checked, packs of cards aren't that cheap, and cases are a bit more expensive as well. So I think it's really important to take the time to say thank you. And it when we started this, there was this fear, like, you can't thank everyone. And I kind of said, let's just start with one, and let's just see where it goes. And we've been running this long enough. A lot of your audience has received these, and I think it's important that it can seem daunting to start a project this big in scope, but just start with one and start making it happen, and start making a difference. And then one last one with the UDRAKs is one of these. It's great to be able to honor soldiers by sending them stuff overseas, and one of these is my favorite. It's this year celebrates 5 years from when I got this Upper Deck Random Acts of Kindness. I mean, can you believe that? You know, collectors, I always say collectors have very long memories. Like if you upset a customer, they're going to remember it for a long time. So it's nice that, you know, these Goodwill stories can have that same resonating effect with customers as well, and collectors in particular.
Agreed.
And then I just want to talk about a few other little promotions that we've done. I love this one on Father's Day where we put the father in the back of the classic Young Guns card. The father to the right actually passed away about 2 weeks prior to this happening in I believe it was a car accident, and the wife really appreciated the fact that, you know, and it was interesting, the picture that she had, she wasn't, you know, it wasn't going to really work, but our pre-press team is so amazing. Our graphic designers, they were able to position one of the kids, and he said when he saw the card, he goes, "Look, Mom, I'm on Daddy's lap," you know, and it was just really powerful. And she's been amazing. If you follow Carrie Midgley on Twitter, she does she now incorporates trading cards in her at-home lessons with her kids, and I think the world of her and all that she's gone through. So, and then, you know, I think a lot of your audience has seen at Draft how interactive we try to be. We have a lot of assets we need to get at Draft, whether it be photo shoots, autographs, getting athletes in different jerseys. But I always challenge our team, and I'm doing it myself, is trying to look at collectors, you know, year long and find out who are those good ambassadors. And it is so fun when you can take a guy who just got drafted and just get a quick video shout out for them, you know, and they're like, what? A lot of it's so funny because I'll be posting it like as I'm going to bed, you know, that night after the longest day ever. And they'll see it in the morning and there'll be like all these retweets, and it's like such a fun way for those fans to wake up. So again, it's one of those little things that Upper Deck does that I think is really important to show how much we kind of appreciate our fans and that little extra effort. Next one's just a couple fun ones from the National and Gen Con. This youngster came by our booth, but earlier in the day he met our supervisor in the gift shop. And our supervisor for customer care, Jeff, was getting a water, and the kid saw you in an Upper Deck shirt on. He's like, "Wow, you work for Upper Deck? It's amazing." And he was going to the show, and he's like, "Yeah, come by." And we hooked him up with promos and things like that. Well, later his mom there told us that he was at Parkland, where there was the shooting. He wasn't at that high school, but it was in that community, and it was. She's like, it really was. Had a big effect on him, and he finds comfort in collecting trading cards. And I think that's, like, you think about grand scheme stuff, like, oh my God, yeah, like, why wouldn't we hook this kid up with some promos and things like that? And then another one that was interesting is I went from the National to Gen Con last year, and there was a collector who had a fire in their hotel. And trading cards and fire do not go well together, but even worse, they don't go well with the sprinkler system that goes off. So he lost all his cool Upper Deck entertainment promo cards, and we brought him back and were able to hook him up with a new set there, and that was great. The next one is our Heroic Inspirations program, and the one that really started Heroic Inspirations off was a kid named Jack Hoffman, who has pediatric brain cancer at the time, and the Nebraska football team knew he was a huge fan. They invited him to the spring game in Nebraska for a spring game. That's 70,000 people. Like, it's a big deal. And so one of the last plays, they had him come in and run I think it was a 77-yard touchdown back. And if you watch it, it's like your full waterworks, right? So I personally just hadn't talked to them in a while. We've since done a lot with Heroic Inspirations and just identifying people that wouldn't normally have a trading card to give them something like that. But I went out there last summer, and they were like, "Hey, we're having a 5K," and I was like, "I just want to see how he's doing and see what's going on." And their 5K is so cool because the whole Nebraska football team comes out and cheers you on at different points throughout the race. And when you get to the finish line, they're there kind of cheering you on too. Unfortunately, I didn't really train that well for it. So if you go to the next slide, you can see I almost had cardiac arrest, and I knew I knew where I needed to be at the end of that race, right? But no, I was okay. But it was touch and go there for a couple minutes. But if you go to the next one, we've now, for me, I had him sign a blow up of that, and we added that at our corporate headquarters. We have what we call a wall of inspiration, and it's all these mostly kids, but people who are very deserving of having a trading card, who are involved in sports, but just would never make their way to the pros otherwise. So those stories to me are probably some of my favorites. And as a father, I think, if I could share any cards with my kids, it's not that autograph patch 1 of 1. It's these cards, and being able to tell them the story about, this young kid had pediatric brain cancer, and he's still fighting it every day, and he's growing up, and he's doing okay now, and he ran this touchdown back. And there's so many of those types of stories that we've been a part of. Adam Kingsmill out of Vancouver, who is a one-legged goalie. We had there's just tons. So it's been a lot of fun to be able to do that type of give back. And we just did, if you go to the next one, we just did Layla Anderson. We gave her hers in St. Louis, and Sydney Wood having her family out at the last Fall Expo was incredible. She tragically passed, and was a big athlete in that community, and her parents were so thankful for that recognition. And when you lose a child, like, I can't even imagine. It's like one of those things where you want to be able to have some type of keepsake in some way to remember them, much like the Tyler Chatfield card. So this program has been a really nice way to do some community engagement and some great cause marketing. And what's been amazing is that a lot of times they'll use these for philanthropic efforts. The Jack Hoffman card raised over $100,000 for pediatric brain cancer, which is crazy. It's a trading card that's just ink on paper, but it's one of those things that, if they do have that viral aspect, if they do get picked up, then it can really do a lot of good outside of just, making the family feel good. So that's been really fun to see.
The Sydney Wood, you did almost a presentation at the expo. My booth at Expo is like right across from the upper deck booth. So I hear everything that's going on, and I can pretty much see it as well. And I remember that going on, and I wasn't really sure what was happening. I didn't know what was going on beforehand. So I kind of left my booth and I walked over, and that was so emotional. I know I'm not just saying this. I shed a tear because, as a newish father myself, it's hard to fathom. And I could see the emotion in her parents' faces from afar. And my heart went out to them. And without you doing this, that I wouldn't, and all the other attendees of the expo that were in the area wouldn't have been able to just feel that for them. And there's something special about that. So that was awesome.
For sure. Yeah. And then just a couple other just little ones, we had a youngster. I've really challenged our customer care team that, if you get a piece of fan mail, like, let's really dig into that fan mail. And this youngster wrote us a letter about a trading card concept called Mirror Mirror that he had. And we really liked it. And we reached out to him and his family, and we actually put it into MVP this year. So
awesome.
We brought him over to the upper deck booth, and he met with Billy to talk about it. And for him to finally see that in a pack this year is pretty amazing. So I love that one.
That's awesome. Speaking of Billy and MVP, he makes the comment. He says, "Tell Chris there's a case of 2021 MVP cards by his office for another great program he does, cards for kids." So do you want to speak to that at all before we move on to the next slide, or should we keep going?
I did get that. I just sent a big box out to, I think it was Yellowknife. But yeah, there's a lot of different youth hockey teams and organizations, and they love trading cards. So we do a lot of every product that comes out. We open it. We want to get a feel for it. We want to QC it ourselves. And that's done throughout the entire pack out process. A lot of times people ask us, how do you have these cool insert cards? Those should be in packs. Well, they are. We allocate funds to buy them, and to make sure our products are going well. And so the inserts we use for quality assurance or redemption replacements, things along those lines. But the base cards are all fantastic too for youngsters. So
Sure.
we do a lot with regard to giving back there. So
Beautiful.
another fun one that we had last year was
Next slide.
a youngster out of BC who he loved the Tim Hortons set, but he couldn't collect them all because some were so rare. So he just started making his own versions of the cards that he couldn't get. And then he was trading with people for the real cards. You know, people were like, oh, this is amazing. And so we love this kid. So we were like, you know what, we want to bring you out to the Vancouver show. And we brought him on. We had him to make cards for other kids. Cause I'm just like, you have these moments where clearly a kid has passion for the hobby and clearly they've got talent as well. So to be able to do something like that, to foster that, and other kids who hear the story, to let them know that, wow, I could work in trading. I didn't know I could work in trading cards when I was a kid. Holy, that would have been amazing had I known. I would have just focused all the way on, you know, how do I work for a trading card company? Is there a major for that? And so to be able to show this a little bit and to embrace the youngsters who are so passionate about the hobby is really fun. The next one was a similar one. We saw a letter from a kid who around the holidays who was asking for a new dad. And it's like, oh my God, that is just rough. So we sent a random act of kindness to where he and his mother were located. And then we get into COVID. If you go to the next one of the ones I liked, this poor 5-year-old kid, he had his birthday canceled because of COVID. So, and his dad sent me his birthday wish list, and number one is Allure hockey. Like, how does he know about Allure? So I was like, listen, because the father wasn't trying to shake me down for stuff. He was like, I just need to know where I could get some in COVID. I don't know. I need to help my son out. I'm like, stop. We got this.
Yeah.
And for him to get that, you know, he was just going crazy. So that was a fun one that I loved. And then, you know, as we're all part of one big community, and when one member hurts, you know, we all kind of hurt. So John at Sports Card Nation, I heard about the loss of his dog Mocha, and we actually make dog trading cards because of Goodwin Champions and some of the things we've done on EPAC. So I asked our team, can we make something for him for this? And I was able to the picture that he showed was high res enough that we were able to make this poster of John and his dog. And I just thought that was so fun to be able to help him through the pain of this loss. And maybe Chewy sent him something too. I don't know, but to be able to do it with a trading card and use the power of our brand to help with that healing process meant so much. So to him, and we just love the feedback that we got from him. So again, it's just from our entire organization, we're just trying to create a perception of just thoughtful and caring. And again, it's got to be authentic, and it's got to be, you know, where you're not just doing it to make a headline, where you're doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's coming through, Chris, through this presentation, through these slides. I mean, it's awesome, man. Speaking of John from Sports Card Nation, it's ironic because I really just met John today, totally by coincidence. And I met him because I said earlier in the show, I called into their live YouTube show, Hobby Hotline. And John wasn't on at the time, but he sent me a message after saying, thanks for coming on. And we chatted throughout the day today. And then he said he knew that you were coming on the show, and he said, oh, Chris is a great guy. And I swear, half an hour before the show, he texted me that picture saying, check this. This is what Chris did for me. And then when I saw the deck that you sent me, I said, hey, by the way, you're going to make an appearance on the show tonight. You're slide 34 or something like that. That was kind of a neat coincidence. Ready for the next slide?
And then I mean, this last one is just, you know, being present in what's happening today, looking for people who are making a difference in COVID. And I just got these prints in this last week. I'm going to be sending them out to the people we identified. We had some issues finally getting these done and completed, but it's just great to be able to thank some of those first line responders. And Upper Deck's a company that actually makes cards of genuine heroes anyway. So it wasn't hard for us to pivot and do it from a COVID-19 perspective and shine a light on the great stories that these folks have. And Mary here, Marie is pretty cool because she's a collector herself, but she's also a nurse and making a difference out there. And a lot of the people that we selected have hobby ties, so I think that was really cool. So I just want to end on just a couple things here with regard to this. Is that, you know, Upper Deck's going to continue trying to do these innovative. We want to be innovative with our products, but we also want to be innovative with our customer engagement. And if you go to that next slide, it's just if you all could help from a collector's standpoint to share this good news, you know, share these fun stories or share these meaningful stories or special stories, because I believe it has a huge effect on the paradigm, the way people think about this industry. Do they want to think about it as counterfeiters and card trimmers, or do they want to think about it as all this group of good people that are trying to make a difference, improve lives, and just make things better? And if you look, I mean, the business applications for doing good, I mean, it's unprecedented. If you go to the next slide, there's some stats on this. It's that customers feel better purchasing from companies that aren't charitable. And I know I sure as heck am. You know, if I know I'm spending money with a company, but it's all, you know, just a bunch of, you know, people that are spending it on gambling and women, and, you know, I suppose that's fine and fun, but I want to be one of those companies that's giving back and being thoughtful, and everyone from our owner down to you know, our security guard. We're our paradigm is how do we help rather than how much money can we make off someone, if that makes sense. So.
It does. And I'd expand on that just a little bit by saying that not only do the consumers have that sort of response, but the employees do too. You know, if you work for a company that you feel is a good member of society, I think you're going to work harder for that company. I think you're going to feel better about it. You're going to feel better about the brand that you're representing, or the product, the service, the whatever it is. It goes further than just the consumers. And I speak with firsthand knowledge about the company I work for, and we do that too. A lot of similar sort of things, handwritten notes, you know, giving to charity and being authentic about it. And that makes me as an employee feel that much better about the company I work for. So I just wanted to add that. I thought that was, yeah.
Yeah, I was sharing, I forget when it was, I was sharing something that we did. And I had an employee coming over to me afterwards and give me a hug and shared that someone that they loved went through the same thing that the person we were honoring did. And it's, you don't think everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. And it's just, if you can make your company change the culture a little bit, where it's, you know, being more thoughtful, being more caring, and being more, how can I help you rather than what can I get from you? Yeah. I think it goes a long way.
Yeah. One more slide. Do you want me to bring that one up, and then we can address some of the comments that have been coming?
Yeah, let's just do my shameless plug real quick. One of my favorite things that's happened out of COVID, which there haven't been a ton, except for the industry is doing incredibly well. I don't understand how that's happened, but it's fantastic. Is Trivia Tuesdays. One fun thing that the NHL has allowed us to do, and I hosted, and we'll be doing it this Tuesday on the NHL's Everyday NHL Instagram account. So if you haven't tuned into that before, definitely do. It's a lot of fun. We do some giveaways, and it's a great way for us to preview new products on their platform. So we're very blessed to have a partner in the NHL and NHLPA that allow us to come on and do a takeover, basically of some of their pages from time to time, and share some of the fun that we do. And we have fun guests on there. I had Phil, the keeper of the cup, on. We had Bailey, and Layla Anderson. And sometimes it's just me, but it's always fun to engage fans and do some trivia and some giveaways too.
Great. Very cool. All right, guys, take note of that. Every Tuesday on I think you said the NHL's Instagram account?
It's the third Tuesday of every month, Everyday NHL.
Third Tuesday of every month. All right. Very cool. Okay, so thanks for that, Chris. That was awesome. Let's get to some comments here, and then we will bring on our additional guest, if that's okay.
Perfect. Yes.
But I do want to go through some of these things first. I thought this comment, and we're like 30 minutes behind the comments, but some of them are still relevant. This one I thought was awesome from Neil. He says, "You guys are giving me some great reminders of how I need to run my business." And, you know, I agree with that. Customer service goes a long, long way. Terry wanted to say that he loves that you came up to the Summit Show, which is in Edmonton, Alberta. So I thought that was appreciated. This comment, I think this is Rich Klein, says, or as I wrote in my last column, thank you for complaining. If we as a hobby respond on a positive level towards these complaints, then what Chris wants to do will let us as hobby spokespeople control the narrative. Interesting angle, right? Because we're not going to stop the complaining, but if we respond to it properly, then we can get there as well, like you were saying earlier, I believe. What else do we have here? Jason says Upper Deck sponsored a spot in the Gretzky Hockey School stop in Calgary last summer, 2019. Had a blast. Thanks to Upper Deck for doing that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Very nice, Jason. He says, P.S. Ty Gretzky is a great kid to me anyway. He was all over the place working his tail off. Not a card story, but thought I should mention another great thing Upper Deck does. Very nice, Jay, for you to mention that. Terry says, I love the personal touch of the handwritten letters. Yeah, I think they're awesome as well. Couple Triple Play, welcome to the show. What's up to you? What else do we have here? Bromf says, it's good to see how Upper Deck values the regular Joes, unlike another brand whose name is wants to. Okay, I don't want to talk about any other brands here. Steve says, thanks for sharing, Chris. Your authenticity comes through in all of this. Great to know you have found your place at Upper Deck and that they benefit from your spirit and energy. I think that's true. Steve Menzie is the operator of the Sports Card Expo in Toronto. So everyone, if you've never been there, make sure you come there. Next time it's in person. And Steve has mentioned that there will likely be another virtual expo coming, hopefully before the year is up. So everybody keep your eyes open for that. Costa, welcome to the show. Want to say hello to you. And we spoke to your other one. I think this is Rich again, says, as I've said many times, Chris and Upper Deck are a shining example of how a large company can feel like a small one. They genuinely care about people. It's not just about dollar signs. They lead the way in customer service and second place. Wonderful. Thank you for that comment. A million thank yous is not enough. Awesome. Here we go. Billy says, thanks. And this is Billy Celio, everybody. Billy is a product manager at Upper Deck. So let's just keep that in mind. He says, thanks a lot, Chris, for raising the bar on the show. I better not have to create a slideshow if I come back on. I got product to build. So Billy has been a guest on the show. We'll have him back again. And Billy, no, not necessary to build a PowerPoint show for when you come back on. Brett says, but you can if you want, Billy. Brett says, I remember the heroic inspiration card created for Brady Kale, who set up at shows 4 to 5 years back, and all his earnings to charity on behalf of his best friend who's battling cancer. Very powerful, no doubt about it. This would be John Newman, Sports Card Nation podcast. As Chris and Upper Deck lead the way in customer service, they genuinely care about people. What they continually do is beautiful and a shining example of what a company can be. Got to agree with that. Got to agree with that for sure. Steve says again, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Love that. If only we could all apply that to everyday life. It's like, just, be kind to each other, as Ellen says, that kind of thing, right? You never know what people are going through. And sometimes it's hard to keep that in mind. And I think we all as humans are challenged to always remember that. And all we can do is the best we can to keep that in mind. And then, you're doing something. Chris, you have anything to jump in on there?
No, it's really kind, everyone's comments there. So again, it's just it's something that we want to keep doing, and again, any amplification our fans and hobbyists can do to again portray our industry in the best light possible. Because again, I don't want to be tied to the negatives of our industry. I want to lead the charge for what good we can do in this industry.
For sure. Legion says, I can't wait for the next virtual expo. Us lower 48ers appreciate the access. Yes, there's no crossing the border right now, for sure. Rob says, can't wait for the Chicago National in 21. Maddox and I missed the party and promo packs. I can't wait for that either, Rob, for sure.
Me too.
B. Kobler says, Carlin, has Pete Incaviglia asked for his Twitter handle back yet?
So I was an early adopter to Twitter, and I had I was like, Pete Incaviglia was my favorite baseball player growing up. And so I was like, I'll be Pete Incaviglia, and one of my favorite collectibles that someone gave me, they met Pete and at an autograph signing, and he inscribed something to me. He goes, hey, Chris, nice Twitter handle, Pete Incaviglia. And he, I guess he doesn't want, I would give it to him in a second. Cause I always thought he was just such a fun character. but I don't think he's super tech guy. So,
So
I'm keeping stewardship for him right now. And if anyone ever thinks I'm Peter Cavillier, I'm quick to tell them I'm not.
Hilarious. Okay, a couple more comments, and then we can move along. Hey, Chris, thanks for all you do. I'm not sure who that is, but I wanted to put it up there. Yam says, I'm super impressed with the exquisite RPAs in hockey and glad it can be chased in a reasonable product. Hockey is so much more accessible. And there you go.
I want to just talk about that really quick because
Sure.
Upper Deck had the opportunity to do Exquisite as a standalone product for hockey. And it would have been an easy cash grab, So for our product development team to say, hey, we know what people have already invested in the cup, and that's going to be our highest end offering right now. And Exquisite is a brand that has a lot of equity, but we can make our other products stronger. Like Ice is a fun break with some of the Exquisite content in there. And it's a set within a set. So those overlay programs that Grant Sandground and Billy and Tony and Paul Zickler and Josh Sussman, a lot of our team come up with are really great. And again, I have such respect for that group for doing the right thing for the hobby on something like that, rather than just trying to milk every dollar you can out of collectors. It's doing the responsible thing sometimes.
Right on. Kobler says that's a classic Carlin story, being about the Twitter handle. And then John from Sports Card Nation says, I could say a thanks a million times and it wouldn't be enough. What you did for my family during a difficult time was absolutely incredible. Good evening, gentlemen. I'm not sure who that is, but good evening to you as well. And Mike says, hit the thumbs up to like this video and click the subscribe button. Thank you, Mike. Mike, also known as Absolute Authentics, is a loyal watcher and always reminds me. I don't remind the viewers enough, I guess, to hit thumbs up, subscribe, and all those things that YouTubers tend to do. So I appreciate that, Mike. And if anyone doesn't mind subscribing and hitting the thumbs up button, leaving a comment, that's all wonderful. Thank you very much. Yam wants to say, love that. Thanks, Upper Deck. So that's about the Exquisite. So that's pretty cool. Okay. We do have another guest in the back room. Oh, that's the mayor. That'd be Rich Barone in the house. Rich,
there he is.
Welcome to the show, my brother. Okay. So are we ready to bring out our next guest, Chris, to join us?
Yeah. So just to set the stage a little bit, I met this person at the Summit show, and they were offered a space, I believe, just to kind of show off his collection. And I was really kind of blown away by his collection, because it wasn't so often, you go by someone's showcase and you're like, holy cow, they've got one of one this, or cut signature that, or quad autograph this. But his setup was different. And I was so impressed. I actually took video of him there and had him talk about his collection, because I wanted to take it back and share it with our product development team, because not everyone can be at every show, but wanted to take him a piece of him back, and we haven't created something that I always wanted to create, kind of for him and for the community, and we just haven't been able to make it work in a revenue product. But I work a lot on promotional sets, and a lot of the sets that you've seen here, and I thought there was an opportunity. So I think I saw him on your show, and it kind of was like, oh my gosh, this guy's still out there, and he's doing this, and I need to re-engage. So we've been working closely over the past couple months, and on something, and we wanted to kind of share it with your audience here. So let's bring him on, and we can kind of talk about it.
All right, I'll welcome him to the show. Naim Cardinal, welcome back. Welcome back, man, to the show. Great to have you again. I got to say, Chris teased me yesterday saying that there's a collector you're going to be very happy to have him on. And I thought to myself, oh boy, like who could it be? I took a couple guesses, and then the Wayne Gretzky guesses started flowing. Yeah. Okay, maybe Chris is going to bring Wayne Gretzky on, but you're certainly not Wayne Gretzky, but you're the Wayne Gretzky of what you're doing, and what you're doing is incredible. I've talked about it a lot on the show. I'm going to kind of pass it back over to Chris now to introduce this new initiative. But Naim, I want to welcome you back. It's your second time on the show. Great to have you again. Good to see you. And
Thank you.
Couldn't say, I only knew it was you about an hour before the show started. So
yeah.
Welcome back. Chris, I'll hand it over to you now.
Yeah, so I met Naim. I was so impressed by him. And Naim, if you wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about your collection and kind of what it means to you and what it's meant to the community.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I want to thank you both for having me on the show, and thank you, Jeremy, for being so flexible and going along with Chris's idea and bringing me on. I appreciate that a lot. But
My pleasure. My pleasure.
yeah, so just to kind of give you a little bit of backstory, I started my collection in 2014. I've been pretty much a lifetime collector. I started when I was a kid, back in the late 80s. I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. I couldn't afford to play hockey, but I could buy hockey cards, and that's the way I stayed connected to my heroes who were hockey players. And I collected off and on over the years, and I stopped collecting for probably almost 10 years. I got back to it in 2004, and I've been in the hobby since, just kind of in and out. I took a few breaks. I am a member of the Hobby Insider Board, so I've been on there for quite a while, and I just kind of got to a point where in 2014 that I needed to make a decision about what I was going to do in the hobby and if I was going to stay in there. So, I'm a First Nations person. I'm Cree, and I've just always really appreciated and loved the Indigenous hockey players. I've followed Jordan Tutu since the beginning of his career, and I love learning about different players from the past. That all the brothers, like the Nolan brothers and Ted Nolan and DJ King, Dwight King, all those guys, and it's been pretty cool to follow their careers. And I just decided that I think if I'm going to stay in this, I need to do something that's meaningful to me and that's going to keep me connected to the hobby. And I decided that I was going to collect the rookie cards of every Indigenous player that's been in the NHL. And that took a little bit of research to do. And, I've had a lot of help over the years. And, I couldn't be where I am without people in the community reaching out to me and giving me a hand with my collection. So I'm extremely grateful for that. And I'm extremely grateful to be here and a part of what Upper Deck is doing. And, I love that Chris was able to reach out to me and bring this forward to me. And,
Well, yeah, so let me interrupt real quick there. So before we go any further, so I had seen Naim's collection. He has licensed NHL rookie card or licensed NHL cards of a lot of Indigenous players, but some players never had NHL cards. So Naim's got like these super crazy rare like postcards and just random amazing things, but it's like they're almost for me, I feel like they're a placeholder for what that person deserved, which is a licensed NHL card. And so I think I was listening to you on Sports Cards Live and talking about some of these rare things, and I just finally was like, it's time. Like, let's give these guys a licensed NHL card. Let's give them an Upper Deck card. And it doesn't have to be in a revenue product. Like, let's make a set of cards for Indigenous players and distribute them to their tribes and in that community and at those hockey tournaments. And where else can we get these out there? And so Naim and I started talking, and God, I was like, okay, we could do this. And then I was like, we shouldn't do this. Upper Deck shouldn't. Like, I'm a white guy from California. Like, I shouldn't be trying to figure out which player is deserving and what the design should be and things along those lines. So I said to Naim, let's make this as if we're going to do this, like, let's really do this right. Let's make this as authentic as possible. Let's involve Indigenous people in every aspect of it, from the checklist to the design to the card backs. And that's what we started doing. So Naim, if you want to take a little bit from there, because without your hard work, this wouldn't be where it is.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm honestly just really honored and grateful that I get to be a part of this. And like Chris said, we're honoring former Indigenous NHL players who never got an NHL rookie card. And, for me to be a small part of that and bringing this forward is, it's amazing. It's been an amazing experience for me because, the conversations, the rich conversations that I've had with family members and with former players, and letting them know that we are working on getting them a hockey card. That has been such a positive response, and it has been a lot of hard work, but it's been really worth it, because like I keep thinking about those little kids opening up those packs of cards and seeing themselves in those players from the past, and also seeing the joy and the gratefulness that family members feel when they open up those packs and they see their loved ones being remembered. Because from the conversations I've had, they said, sometimes we feel like our loved one has been forgotten throughout history, because their career has been over for so long, and they never got a hockey card. And for us to remember them this way, that's such a huge honor. And I keep thinking about that, and thinking about Johnny Harm's daughter and her opening up that pack and seeing her daddy on that hockey card. It's pretty amazing. And seeing like the former players like being acknowledged this way, that's so worth it to me. That's what I do it for. Like, in that, for my community, the Indigenous community, to be honored this way, it's been a long time coming. And I've been really so thankful to Chris, because he asked me to be a part of this, and also because of his willingness and open-mindedness to allow the Indigenous community to be a big part of it. And it has been an Indigenous community-led project, because we have so many people from the community who have been involved. We've created an advisory committee of Indigenous people in the community who are connected in the hockey. Also a couple others who are non-Indigenous, but are very, very strongly connected to the Indigenous hockey community. And I wanted to be able to do this in the right way and have people, give me that advice and that guidance on how to move forward, how to approach the families, how to approach the players. And, it's been really helpful, because not only have I been given great advice, but also because I've found a lot of connections to the people who are part of our advisory board, and just being able to learn from them, because they're all people who I extremely look up to and admire in our community. But it's been amazing to see where it is now, from the first conversation that Chris and I had 2 months ago. And I'm just so excited to to see these cards come to fruition. And
yeah, we're making some big strides there, and because of Naim's hard work. And oh, by the way, Naim's a new dad too, so I'm sure his wife just loves that I threw this on.
Fourth time over. Fourth time over, though.
She's cursing me at night, but it's the right thing to do. Like, it makes so much sense, and people don't fully appreciate the impact that Indigenous players have in the NHL. Ethan Bear's a great example of it in Edmonton. Carey Price, for the Habs. So, but there's this long legacy of just people being forgotten, or the times were different then. We spent a lot of time shining a light on a player like Willie O'Ree. Why aren't we doing the same thing in the Indigenous community? And for me, it was kind of a no-brainer at one point, where it's like, let's just get this done, and let's do it the right way. And so I can't thank Naim enough for all his efforts there, and the efforts of the advisory board that he put together. And we meet and we kind of go through what makes sense. And we're very excited to bring this set out. It'll be likely in 2021. But we wanted to kind of share a debut here tonight of a couple of the designs, the logo. And Jeremy, if you wouldn't mind showing that off, because we really want to get collectors' feedback. So Naim, do you want to walk us through this?
Yeah, sure. So this design is actually, it's created by a friend of mine. His name is Jacob Alexis. He's Nakota Sioux from the Alexis First Nation in Treaty 6 territory of Alberta. And he's a friend of mine, and he's been doing digital design for years. And I've seen so much of his work, and I see how talented he is. So I asked him to come on board, and he was more than willing to, because he's a hockey player himself, and he's just such a talented athlete. Like he appreciates hockey, he loves hockey, and he was just grateful to be a part of this as well. But yeah, this is this is the sample that he's provided for us. There were a few others, but this is the one we've been going with. This here is Rocky Trache, and there's a lot of different elements that Jake explained within this hockey card. Like, let's just start with the logo. Can you scroll down a little bit there, Jeremy? There's the second page.
Yeah, this is awesome. If you could go a little closer to it, possibly, Jeremy, it would be zoom in a bit. I don't know if you can or not, but this is really cool.
Yeah, so this is the logo Jacob created for the First People's rookie cards. And, you see here a maple leaf, but if you have a look closer, you'll see that the maple leaf is made out of eagle feathers. So in our community, when you're honored, you're provided with an eagle feather for everything that you overcome and for all the hardships that you face to reach these accomplishments in your life. And if you have a look at some of our bonnets historically, and you see the people with a large amount of eagle feathers in their bonnets, that's because they've done many great things with their lives. And Jake felt that eagle feather should be a part of this logo because of the accomplishments that these players have had. They're reaching the highest pinnacle of their sport and of their career. They've overcome so many things in their lives, and here they are being a part of this project, and that's why he included that as part of the logo. If you want to zoom in a little bit more within that eagle feather, if you can, Jeremy.
I'm trying.
Okay, no worries. But if you have a kind of look at the left side, the right side, the top, you'll see little bits of lightning strike in there. So the reason why Jake put that in there is because he wanted to honor water as part of our culture, and without water we wouldn't be able to play hockey, because ice is made of water, obviously, but water is such a huge part of who we are. We honor it as much as possible. We try to take care of it as much as possible because it keeps us alive. But in our cultures, Jake is Nakota Sioux and I'm Cree, but part of our teachings, there's similarities there. For us, the keepers of the water are the thunder beings, and he put those lightning strikes in there to honor those thunder beings. So that's why you see those lightning strikes within the flay within the feather. Sorry. He has this all written out in an explanation below, but I'm just kind of summarizing as best as possible, and trying to not go into deep into it just because protocols and things like that. But as well, if you have a look in the middle, there's also a hockey stick seen here. So that hockey stick is a representation of the first hockey stick made by the Mi'kmaq people. And there's stories out there. There's been news articles made that, perhaps the Mi'kmaq people are the creators of hockey and they made the first hockey stick. So he wanted that included in there as well, because we were in one of our meetings and Wilton told us the story of that hockey stick, and he told us to look up that article, and that's why Jake put that in there. So Jake he's extremely talented and he can see the world in this way. I can't, and that's why I wanted to ask him to be a part of this, and so he can provide us with creations such as this one, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, he was showing us this, and I was like, it's cool. It's a maple leaf, and then the eagle feather, and then the lightning strikes, and then the original hockey sticks in there too. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I was super pumped, and I love the design as is, and then just when we get into the logo, I was like, oh, this is next level greatness. So I realized at that point, our designers are super creative and awesome, but like I said, it's got to come from this community if we're going to do this right, and it pays in what we're seeing here. So I know that Naim and I, this isn't final, and we're still, this is all a work in progress, and we're acquiring imagery for a lot of these players. We're working with the Hockey Hall of Fame on that, and other entities as well, because it's challenging. Not a lot of these guys were photographed, and some of them are go pretty far back. So we're really excited to bring this to market in that community, but we would love feedback from collectors on what they saw here tonight, and to help us get the word out when this does, because I think about this, the potential for this, and maybe it's a stretch, but with Upper Deck, we signed Tiger Woods. I think it was back in 2001, and people often talk about the Tiger effect, and I just think about what this could mean for Indigenous communities if if those kids, again, we talked about kids earlier, but if those kids could see, hey, there's people that have made it in the NHL before, and look at them. They remember my tribe, my community. The powerful effect that could have, that's immeasurable, really, and what that could do, for Indigenous players in the future. I think it's like planting seeds in a garden. I think there's a huge potential impact here, and I'm so honored for Naim to kind of lead the charge with this and do such a fabulous job.
Yeah. I just want to jump in and say, first of all, congratulations, Naim, on this project. I know that it's right up your alley. I can only imagine how important it is to you, your family, your community, the other First Nations communities that exist, that there are. It's wonderful. And when you were on last time, we talked about it, and I get a little worked up about it, because I just think you're going to change lives. This is going to change lives, and that's really what it comes down to. This will change lives for the better, and that's a wonderful thing. It's awesome that Chris, that you spotted this and you acted on it. That's amazing. I'm certainly honored that you are rolling this out or announcing it here tonight on Sports Cards Live. That means a lot to me. I feel like I'm a part of it now, so that's awesome. The viewers too, that have been along for the ride, that were watching when Naim was on the first time. It's awesome, guys. It's awesome. So thank you for doing it on the show tonight. And congratulations to both of you for this, but especially to you, Naim. I know this must be, it's got to be super meaningful. So that's just so cool for you. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it has been very meaningful for me. And, it's like I said, it's been a wonderful experience, and it continues to be. I got to talk to a lot of former NHL players, and I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity otherwise. And, I was saying in our meeting the other day, I feel so honored to do this, because I'm just a regular dude who collects hockey cards, and I get to be a part of this, and it's amazing. And actually, I got to connect with my cousin Dan Hodgson through this program, because we wanted him to be a part of it. And we got to talking, and I talked to him about the hockey cards, but we also talked about our family, and he kind of been asking me what's been going on back home, and just trying to reconnect that way. So I'm really appreciative of that fact, for sure.
Right on. Very awesome.
Hey, Naim, if you wouldn't mind, I know a lot of people watching tonight do know you, but I'm sure there's some people who probably don't. And again, we really want to get any feedback that folks have about where this should be distributed, down to the design, down to which players, down all that good stuff. How can people get in touch with you if they don't know, and don't give out your cell, but what are some easy ways for people to reach out to you?
You can find me on Instagram at Indigenous Rookie Cards. I do have a website as well, www.indigenousrookiecard.com. You can send me a message there, or you can send me an email, indigenousrookiecards@gmail.com.
I just threw the website up for you. I'm sorry I didn't have anything else loaded and ready to go, but I just copied the website out for you there, Naim, so people could see that and see, because I'll mention that this isn't a brand new project for Naim either. Naim has worked on this collection. I think Chris mentioned we've worked on this collection for several years. You've displayed it before, but you do have a website as well. So the website,
and by all means, go check out his collection, because it's awesome. But what I really felt inclined was like, why should Naim have to collect some crazy postcard? There should be a card for this player. Yeah. So it's cool that we're able to make this happen.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Okay. Well, I guess, Naim, thanks for joining tonight. It's been a pleasure to have you back. It was a nice surprise for me. So good to see you again.
Thank you.
I guess so. Thanks for coming on for this portion of the show. I guess, Chris, we'll move on to the next stuff on our agenda. And
thank you, Naim, so much. Yep. And when we're printing these bad boys up, I'd love for Naim to come back and kind of walk through who these players were, because their stories are pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I just want to say thanks to Chris for contacting me, and he's honestly been so open-minded, and I really want to thank him for thinking outside the box and not being like everybody else, and allowing Indigenous people to be a part of this and allowing Indigenous people to speak on it. And not that hasn't happened historically, and I really appreciate that for sure.
Yeah,
like we said earlier, Naim, it's just long overdue.
Yeah.
All right, Naim, thanks for coming by. We'll be in touch, and we'll see you on Instagram, and we'll see you at the next card show.
Thank you.
Naim.
Okay, man. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Chris, we got a bunch. That was awesome, by the way. Thanks for bringing him on. Thanks for the surprise. It was a pleasant surprise. I'm going to go through some comments. We've got a lot of stuff that's come through. I don't even know what it is, but I want to address some of these.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Bobby Burrell in the house. Bobby, welcome back. Bobby was on with me both on an episode dedicated to him, and he came on last Wednesday sort of in rescue fashion. So good evening to you. Carvin Chung in the house. Hello, Carvin. He says hi to Swede. Is that because you're a fair-haired Chris? Or are you
there's a long story to my nickname, the Swede, that's, we'll share over a couple beers for sure. But yeah, basically my Nordic looks.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome, Carvin. Good to see you. Carvin's been a guest on the show twice now as well. So thank you for stopping in, Carvin. A couple of people could figure out that it was Naim when we started talking about the Indigenous cards. So had that. Rounds of applause. Bruce, welcome to the show. Says just popped in late to the show. Exciting to see Chris, Jeremy, and Naim all in one place. Bruce, thanks for joining. Terry says a little research is an understatement in reference to all the work that Naim has done. Brett says Naim's personal collection is one of my all-time favorite collections. It epitomizes what you can do in this hobby to make it your own. Very exciting.
Yeah,
for sure. Joe says to make it meaningful for me, something we can all consider. Thank you, Naim. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, Legion says, what an amazing idea. Tim says, this is amazing. Brett says, this initiative will transcend the hobby. It's incredible. I agree. I really think that this has the power, Chris, to change lives. Some of these kids will see these cards and it'll give them additional hope, additional, ambition that, we can do this too. And that's that, and confidence. And that's life-changing stuff.
Yeah.
Brian Rees says, super cool stuff. Melanie, I'm guessing this is Naim's wife, says, so excited and so proud, as she very well should be.
Oh, good. I'm so happy she's not mad at me.
Card Currency Paul says, what a one of a kind set. Wow, impact truly beyond cards in the hobby. Everyone involved should be given some sort of medal from the hobby. Yeah, that's just awesome. We did show an example of the card, so that came out. Where to look? We've spoken to that as well. B. Kobler, Carvin says, the true Canadians. Great job, Chris, to honor Naim's passion, no doubt. Legion says, it's never too late to do the right thing. I'd love to see Jim Thorpe's awards reinstated. Lee McCarthy says, wow, great show, you three. Late here, keep the coffee coming. Thank you, Lee, for joining. Terry says, congrats, Naim, and thank you, Chris, for making this dream come true. See, I mean, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. Melanie says, I sleep, he works. That's pretty funny. Steve Mendy from the Sports Card Expo says, great initiative, and you couldn't have found a better spokesman than Naim. Absolutely not. Legion says they look great. Al says, what a powerful and inspiring project. Thanks, Al. Brett Miles thinks that logo is hot, and Brett does some graphic design himself, so that's a compliment for sure. Bruce says this is a great idea with cool design, celebrating the history of some of the great game of hockey and remembering many of those names who are seemingly forgotten. Most certainly, 100%, Bruce. Well said, well said. Dave Jones says, awesome project, great design, and love the meaning behind all the elements of the logo. Same here. I was having a little trouble zooming in on it here and there, but it's running a little slow. But and I loved how the logo was kind of silhouetted in the card itself behind Rocky Trottier. Really nice design. Julian Lim agrees. B. Kobler, pretty amazing idea. Brian Kingsley would buy a set, as would I. Terry says, Naim, do you get your own rookie card? That's a cool idea too, right?
Well, I like that. Maybe series 2.
There's ways to do that for sure. How many players do you have on the list so far? Do you know the answer to that, Chris, or is that still a work in process?
It's tricky. I think we're going to finish with 12 for this first set. And I talked to Naim about, I don't want this to be a one-time thing. We're very blessed that Upper Deck has licenses for AHL, CHL, Hockey Canada. We could do female players. Like, there's so many opportunities to engage that community more than this category ever has. and what a great ambassador we have in Naim. So I want to explore all those opportunities and continue this if possible.
Yeah, for sure. B. Kobler says, is there an Indigenous rookie card of a Crosby caliber player, even though they're all meaningful and coveted? That's a great question. I mean, you've got Brian Trottier, who might be the most celebrated Indigenous player, and you've got Carey Price.
Brent Saskamoose is probably one of the most well-known, and definitely he'll do a few honorary puck drops and things like that. Always involved in some of the NHL's initiatives for Hockey is for Everyone. So there are some really good players, and again, I hope that this shines a light on that. I mean, we've talked about some of the great players, but what I'd love to do is talk about some of the players who never had that rookie card. So
yeah,
to be able to do that would be pretty special. To say
pretty phenomenal. I think in terms of current players, we have Carey Price, who's still he's a superstar. He has cards already though, so he won't come out in this set. But he's
Carey's got enough. It's the forgotten players that
right.
Naim and I are really working to identify and shine a light on.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Wonderful. Absolute says, put me down for one. Do you know how these will come to market yet? Have you guys thought about that, or is that still coming together? I think you mentioned
every family is going to receive sets. We want to get distribute them to tribes. There's a lot of Indigenous hockey tournaments that take place, but with COVID, we're kind of figuring that out. We've talked about maybe inserting them in National Hockey Card Day packs to give it more a mass approach. We've thought about doing them potentially for free on ePack because some people are geographically displaced a bit, so it's hard for them to even to get there. We want to make these available for that community and for other collectors who just think that it's about time that these players get their just due. So
yeah, no doubt. Okay, I'm going to run through some of the rest of these here. Jason, good evening all. Just popping in for a few. My
lovely wife is back from her date night with our two boys. So if you see some
hello,
Mrs. Carlin. Corsage. So thank you, honey. But if you see two crazy blonde kids coming around, it's just their back.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Jason, just evening all, just popping in for a few minutes, break time of work. Welcome to the show, Jason, as always. Mike says, all kinds of firsts on Sports Cars Live. First interview aborted on Wednesday, and now this worldwide announcement. Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Brett says, Naim's website is exceptional. Gotta concur with that. Jason says, hi, Naim, love your collection and the hard work you put into it. We get a round of applause from Legion, as always. Rob Post says, Chris, two things. Number one, thanks to you and Upper Deck for making products available and accessible during the last few months. Such a great time with my boys. Number two, tentative date for the Cup, please. Chris, are you prepared to respond to that? And he's
I'm not allowed to talk about the Cup until it's like Fight Club. You're not.
Yeah.
The first rule of the Cup is you don't talk about the Cup. And there's a reason why we do that. I don't want people to think that we're being secretive or being mean. It's to give all the other products a chance to perform out in the marketplace before we talk about that super premium release. And it takes a while to get that beast done, especially in this new world we live in, where a lot of our vendors are really saddled with a lot of jobs. And the fact is that trading cards are produced with people right next to each shoulder to shoulder sometimes. So a lot of our vendors are working through how do we make cards in this environment. So Upper Deck's blessed that we use a variety of vendors, and we knew that you have to plan for situations like this. But that said, there's still some delays with not only the Cup but some other products, but the NHL's been delayed too. So this is the first year I've gotten grief. Why are you coming out with 2021 products when the 1920 season's still taking place? So it's a wacky time, and we're working through that. But the one constant I think is that Upper Deck Series 1 will always be awesome, and Upper Deck's probably going to always have the Cup coming out at some point.
Yeah, there you go. They don't talk about it, but we know it's going to come, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Naim did pipe in and wants to thank everyone for their kind words. So that's awesome, Naim. Thanks again for joining us tonight. And Kobler says, it's the forgotten ones I was meaning, being it's their first card. Are there any short printed variants? I'm sure you guys will work your way through that as time goes by, and you work your way through building that set. User says, I'd love to have a set. This is something I find amazing. And says he can't talk about the Cup. He wants to keep his job. And we're at the end of the comments. Thank you, everyone, for your interaction. As always, as you know, if you've watched the show before, I greatly appreciate it. If you haven't watched the show before, I want to welcome you to the show. We're an hour and 50 minutes into this episode. It's been a bit of a marathon already, but highly enjoyable, highly informational, and truly inspirational. Chris, we did have a few more things we wanted to talk about. You did send me some pictures of what you call the wall of praise. Is now a good time to share those, would you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So I kind of talked about how we changed the paradigm with regard to how our customer care agents deal with our customers, and how I challenge them to dig in further, find out more information about the customer. How can you best, meet their needs? And the biggest challenge I give them is to provide that remarkable type of service that is so good that it causes someone to remark about it by writing a letter, or, sending a tweet, or what have you. And so I challenged them, and they started coming through, and it's rare. I've been in the customer care portion of this business for a long time, and we didn't used to get thank you letters. And I just wanted to make sure that my team knew that is how I'm going to judge you, is how our customers perceive you, because it's how we're going to perceive our entire organization. So I put up this wall of praise that was blank, and it didn't take them very long to fill it up. And I took down everything for Customer Care Week. And I think one of the other pictures is it didn't take them that long to refill it. And I thought that was really cool. And now in our customer care area, we have it above and beyond just that wall. It's going over into cubicles, and it's like this. It's really awesome. So if you ever get the opportunity to visit Upper Deck, or maybe I'll do a video just kind of showing where it is now. But it means so much for us to connect with customers, and to really have that opportunity where I wrote Upper Deck a letter when I was a kid. I asked if I could buy cards direct, and I didn't get a response. So to get a response, and to get a personalized response, and to have a connection with our reps is really important to me. So I hope people are starting to see that more, and just because maybe you haven't received a UDRAK doesn't mean we don't value or appreciate it. Again, like I said, there's hundreds of thousands of collectors, and even more right now in this time where the hobby is popping again. But we value our fans very much. And recently I challenged our reps to make outbound calls to some of our EPAC customers and find out what they like. And I don't know of any other company that's calling collectors. And that's how I want it to become. It shouldn't be this one-way situation where you have a problem and you reach out to a company. It should be going both ways, and it should be a relationship, because a one-way relationship doesn't work so well. So I think it's really important that we start to have this engagement for our shops and our collectors where we're reaching out to them as well, instead of just waiting for them to call or email us.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. It's nice. And it's, it's just nice to know that it's appreciated. Nice to get those letters. It's got to be really nice for sure. For sure. I want to thank B. Kobler for joining us tonight, who said good night, Jeremy, earlier. I'm not sure. Is that someone that you know, Chris?
Yeah, Ben's awesome. He's one of my poor Ben. I love this guy so much. I interviewed him when we moved to Vegas. We didn't have a lot of time, and I interviewed him, and I was like, hey, you got to start like now. And I think it was Thanksgiving weekend, and he just moved out and did just an awesome job with our redemption group, and starting to right that ship for us back when we had a lot of licenses and a lot of athletes that were delinquent, and Ben did an amazing job there. So I'm a huge fan of him, and remain good friends with him today.
Awesome. All right, Ben, thank you for joining tonight. Great to hear such great things about you. Patrick says, I've always had amazing dealings with Upper Deck. Great staff that go above and beyond. That's awesome. Brian says, please send more cards to California. Legion says, I'm always impressed with the honest care I've gotten from your customer service, to the point where I don't want to talk about it online for fear of unscrupulous people trying to take advantage of them. Fair comment. That could very easily happen.
That is tricky. It's something that absolutely happens. I just this week, someone wished that I get the worst form of cancer because their son opened up 20 packs on EPAC and they didn't get an autograph card. It's like, but they didn't buy a box. They just were trying to chunk in it. And so it's tricky, you know. Collectors are very passionate. We're called fans because we're fanatical about our love for teams and the hobby. So I get that, and I don't take it to heart when someone says I hope I get cancer, but I wish they wouldn't. But at the same time, you know, we're going to make it right for that guy and his son. But there are those situations where people do, you know, say things that maybe didn't happen. And the cool thing is now Upper Deck can really document things a lot better than we could back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. If you open up a case or a box, inside you'll find a serial number. And we can use that serial number. I can't tell you exactly what was in that box, but I can tell we can use it to tell what was happening at that part of the production run. Were there any type of anomalies that could have caused errors like this to occur? Was, you know, and that we ask for that data from customers because we go back to our vendors and try to make a better product from it. So I'm pretty sure Upper Deck's the only company that utilizes that right now because it's costly, but it helps us make a better product overall. So we record the customer data, and I could tell, all right, this guy, let's let him go through once, maybe twice, but then, you know, if it's the third time, I can pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of what we've been talking about is what you guys, what Upper Deck has done, and a lot of amazing things from start to finish in this episode. We're 4 minutes away from closing up the show tonight. I'm coming back on for the after hour show at half an hour later in 35 minutes from now with Carlos from Because I'm Carlos. But I do want to talk about one other thing that's happened, Chris, and that is with respect to someone very close to you, your own brother, who is ill, and you know, I kind of wanted to say that, you know, not everyone, a lot of people seem to want something from Upper Deck a lot of the times, whether it's more hits in the box or more colors on a patch or more autographs, redemption replacements, whatever it is, whatever people want. But when your brother was recently became, I guess, ill to the point where you reached out for some help, and you and your family received an outpouring of support. And I just wanted to really ask you kind of what did that feel like for you? You do so many good things in the hobby community, in the sports community. And now it's kind of come back to you. It's kind of come back to you a little bit, you and your family. And I know a lot of people watching, myself included, we've helped out, let's say.
Yeah.
How did it feel, man? What was that like for you and your brother and your siblings and your whole family?
No, just to give people a little background, my big brother John, he's worked in sports for most of his life. Right now, he books the sportscast for Jimmy Kimmel Live. He's been with Jimmy Kimmel Live since they started. So one of the reasons I wanted to get into sport, one of the reasons I collected cards is because he collected cards. Thank God he went off to college, or in high school and college. He found out about girls, and I inherited his set more or less, you know. So I was like, this is great. But, you know, and then he went on to work in the sports industry, and I wanted to work in the sports industry. And he started having some issues, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. We thought he was having issues raising his arms, and we thought it might be something, a nerve issue. And he had a surgery. And around that same time, about 4 years ago, my wife and I watched this movie called Gleason on Netflix. And I highly recommend it. It's pretty amazing. It's about Steve Gleason, a professional football player who finds out that he has ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And he chronicles because his wife's pregnant. He chronicles his life to share with his unborn child. And we get through the end of this, and it's very emotional. And I remember looking over to my wife, we're both in tears, and I'm like, God, can you even imagine? Can you even imagine? And Jeremy, 1 week later, my brother called me and said, hey, I've been diagnosed with ALS. And it was so crystal clear to me what that meant and what was going to come and how difficult the road was going to be. And my big brother, John, is not someone who wants to ask for help. He is someone that always is giving and is trying to help others. And he wouldn't let us talk about this. He was like, I got it for now. I'm okay. And his big thing, it wasn't like, let's do bucket list things and go to China. Like if I was diagnosed with this, I would have had a total different story. I would have been like, all right, let's go to Vegas with Carvin and Jeremy and let's have some fun before, things get bad. His was all about, I got to find a cure and I got to work with the best doctors and figure things out. And he has been. He's been getting great treatment from the leading doctor for ALS, Merrick out of Boston. But it's been really hard on our family because he didn't want us to talk about it. And finally, it's gotten to the point where he can't really use his hands. He can't walk anymore. And I recorded a video, just when I was leaving his house one day, because he was finally saying, all right, you guys can do a GoFundMe because it's terrible. You get an ALS diagnosis, your insurance company is like, nope, decline. It's like, oh, gee, why do we even have insurance?
Yeah.
So we're at the point now where, my parents are in their 80s and I go up and I help, but he needs a full-time caregiver and maybe not full-time yet, but it's going to get there. And so we asked for that help and support. And man, I couldn't, I know that he works in sports. So, he started to get some big donations for his GoFundMe page. It's GoFundMe.com/John-Carlin-ALS. And there were some big donations that came in, but I was like, oh my God, there's Ken Richardson from Vancouver, hobby shop owner. There's, oh my God, I know the community for sports cards. Holy crap. Like I can't thank everyone enough who has donated or who has done auctions or it's blown me away. And I got to tell you, my brother, he was at that point where, he was getting tired and he had the support system from his family, but he didn't have it from others. And just for him to see people giving $5 and sending prayers was as cool to me as someone giving 500, because it was like, it meant so much to him to see the comments there and, hey, keep fighting. And it has put so much wind in his sails. And I will never be able to thank everyone properly for the support they've given my family and my big brother at this time. But it's a really tricky time, but man, we're ready to fight and keep fighting and make sure that he has what he needs for this next chapter. So from the bottom of my heart, for my entire family, thank you to everyone who was involved in that and has helped donate or has just sent kind wishes or prayers, because miracles can happen. I believe that. And, still holding out hope for one here, but if we can't make it happen for John, we'll use these funds to help continue. Any funds that we received will be used to help ALS research and to end this disease. Cause gosh, Lou Gehrig, it's been so long since he was diagnosed. We can't figure this one out or make any strides here. It's a tough one, because you see someone you love lose something a little bit every day, but in their head, mentally, they're still totally there. So it's been a challenge, but we'll keep fighting and we'll work through it. And I'm just so blown away by everyone's support. I can't thank everyone enough.
Well, yeah, it's been a great response you've gotten. And so, yeah, I'm going to throw up the picture of you, him, and I believe this is your wife, or is this his wife with you?
No, this is my lovely wife. So
your wife.
So we love we love John, and we love visiting him, and we think the world of him, and want to try to figure out how we can keep him here as long as we can.
Well, on behalf of myself, Chris, I wish you and your family all the best. John, especially, so just wish you the best, man. You and your family.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
It's a tough situation. I'm going to throw the picture back up of you, him, and your wife, and just go through a couple of the comments that have come in. Legion says prayers and love to your brother and family, Chris. Brian says sending the best to your brother and family, Chris. Yam says my heart is with you and your family, Chris. I'm glad you all asked for help. The help your brother needs. Some nice hearts from Brian Kingsley. Dave Jones says all the best to your brother and your family. Maybe you can post that website somewhere later for those that might want to help out. And I just don't have it queued up and ready to go, or I would actually. No,
sure. Yeah. I'll share it on my Twitter, Pete and Cavella, for sure. No, I appreciate it.
So I'm going to put your.
And one other thing I'd love to just share real quick on that, and we could go through some of the comments still, but when Upper Deck heard about this,
Take a second.
I just kind of shared, I want to pour myself into my work and continue to be there. But they said, they've been so great. And they said, you started the Heroic Inspiration campaign. Why don't we do one for John too? So he's going to be getting his own Heroic Inspirations card. So I'm really excited about that happening. And our hope is that we could give one of those cards to everyone who donated. And because he has worked in sports his entire life, it's so cool to be able to give that to my brother. And, going back to Tyler Chatfield and, having that card of that person that meant so much to me and in my upper deck illuminator lamp, there's a spot reserved there for John for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Patrick says our thoughts and prayers go to your family. Dave Jones says all the best to your brother and your family. Maybe you can post. Oh, sorry. I already read that one. I do have Chris's Instagram handle going on the ticker right now, everybody. So I think, Chris, you said you'll post the GoFundMe account or the GoFundMe website on your Twitter. You can go find it there. If anybody else wants to help out, I'm sure that'll be greatly appreciated. Dave Jones, that speaks to the culture right there. Well done, Upper Deck. I agree. All right, Chris, this has been pretty awesome, man. It's exactly what I wanted this episode to be. I wanted it to be an inspiring episode. I wanted to share a different side of the hobby with the audience of Sports Cards Live. And I want to thank you for bringing more people to the show to watch it. Everyone who's watching, guys, your interaction tonight has been awesome as always. So thank you so much. Couple of comments, questions I didn't get to, just not really on point tonight. That comment is going out specifically to you, Sean Robb, and you, Chris West. We'll get those another time when we have someone else from Upper Deck on.
And I know probably a lot of different product questions, and normally I would answer those, but the theme tonight was a little different, so I appreciate everyone there. And if you want to reach out to us, we're happy to answer any questions that you guys have where we can, with regard to is Alexi, what number is he going to be in the set? Like, hang tight.
Yeah, but we will bring someone else on from Upper Deck again soon, whether it's a Billy comes on again or a Tony or whomever else. I mean, we even Grant. We've had 4 people on from Upper Deck already, so I want to thank you guys for
Grant's episode is one of my favorites. If you want to learn about how trading cards are made and the passion that our Upper Deck team has, go back and watch Grant's Sports Card Live. It's required viewing for any new staff member that works for me, for sure.
It's required viewing. That's so cool that this show is required viewing when you get hired at Upper Deck. Grant's show that Chris is speaking about was episode number 28. If you go into the archives on Sports Cards Live on the YouTube channel, you can find that episode there. A couple more things, Chris, then we're gonna end it. I'm gonna take a small break before I come back on with After Hours with Carlos in about 22 minutes from now. Legion says, feels good, man. Good to see good people doing good things. Brian says, Jeremy Lee, the new Roy Firestone, said with respect. Thank you, Brian. And Patrick says, how about an episode for the Cup Pack Out? Yeah, maybe we can figure something out there. Brett Miles says, fantastic show this evening. It's been a while since I've been able to pop in live. So glad I did tonight. All right, guys. To anyone who's going to post any more comments trickling in, I appreciate them. Everybody, as always, appreciate you. Coming back with After Hours in about 20 minutes, and then again on Wednesday with Dustin, the personal finance dad, and more episodes to follow. I've had them scrolling in the banner below here. Lots still to come, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Chris, thank you for your evening tonight. Thank you to your family for making the time easier for you to set it aside for us tonight, for myself and the audience. So thanks so much. Thanks for everything that you're doing at Upper Deck, and we'll be in touch, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Great talking with you, Jeremy. And lots of, there's some really cool stuff that's in the works at Upper Deck, and can't wait to share more. So,
all right, Chris.
We'll do more on product very soon, for sure.
Thanks, Chris. If you can wait right there, I'm just going to say, Absolute says, remember to smash the thumbs up button, everybody. We got a couple rounds of applause, and we are going to sign off. Everybody, good night. If you're going to tune into After Hours, we'll see you in about 20 minutes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Thank you.